Direct failed at convincing people to buy a Switch 2. Okay. Oh yes, it failed at convincing people to buy a Switch 2. Okay, the Switch 2 is already the fastest selling console, and that's fine that these people are trying to put this narrative that the Switch 2 has no games. Yeah, no games like as well. And also, I think Nintendo's gonna kind of space out a lot of their heavy hitters, as well. So the Switch 2 can have more longevity in sales. Because I think one of the big problems with the Switch 1 is they kind of just pushed out all these big games at the beginning. Of course, Zelda Breath of the Wild was originally supposed to be a Wii U game. So of course they just put it on the Switch to promote the Switch. But Splatoon 2, 3D Mario as well. And of course Mario Kart Deluxe was actually a support of a Wii U game as well. So really, you had only two new major games for the Switch 1. Two of the four major games released for the Switch 1, which I'll tell you about the major games, is Breath of the Wild, also a Wii U game. Yeah, people always tend to forget that Breath of the Wild was also on the Wii U. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, oh yeah, also a Wii U game, a Wii U port. The Wii U selling certainly helped for most people. Breath of the Wild and Mario Kart 8 or Switch games. I'm sure ZA will have huge sales, but people who got the Switch 2 version were always going to have buy a Switch 2, and most sales will come from Switch 1. For this is Nintendo's first select. We needed Zelda, 3D Mario, Animal Crossing, Smash! Mario Kart World is the only mega hit title Nintendo's revealed and released as well. Actually, Nintendo's released it's gonna have more than one. Actually, it's released more than one mega hit game. DK Bonanza is a mega hit game, and these people always try to downplay DK Bonanza for some reason. Okay, if you look at every single sales chart, okay, everywhere, Donkey Kong Bonanza is behind Mario Kart World in terms of sales. Okay, and it's only the number 2 game people buy for the Switch 2. Okay, I know that will change when Pokemon Legends ZA or Sazar comes out as well, but and I know people will probably buy Metroid Prime 4, and also people are buying Metroid Prime 4, an IP that historically has never really sold too well, because unfortunately for 4chan, Twitter, people are willing to try new types of games. People are willing to try the new types of games. I think that's what Nintendo's goal is. You can't just always rely on 3D Mario and 3D Zelda every single time. You should try to grow your other IPs. Like Pikmin is one example. I think Nintendo has done a very good job at growing Pikmin as one of Nintendo's core IPs. Pikmin 4 has sold at least 4 to 5 million copies, whereas yes, it may not be a 440 million selling game like Animal Crossing was, but it's still a massive growth of an IP that historically didn't sell too well because Miyamoto had faith in the IP as well. Same thing of what they're coming up with over the next year. Okay, and let's look over the games that Nintendo has announced. Yoshi games, which are usually early year titles. Okay, Mario Tennis. Of course, it's not a 3D Mario game, but it's still a Mario game at the end of the day. And that's the one time people keep saying Nintendo forgets about Mario. They're really giving us a new Mario Tennis game. Which I think they really need to give us a new Mario Baseball game, but that's just my opinion. Hyrule Warriors, again, Hyrule Warriors is very big. Okay, the last Hyrule Warriors game sold 5 million copies. Of course, they're going to make another one. Kirby Air Riders has gotten a lot of non-Kirby fans interested in the game because there isn't a 3D Mario game. I really think people need to give other Nintendo IPs a chance, not just 3D Mario and 3D Zelda. Okay, Nintendo has way more IPs than 3D Mario and 3D Zelda. Fire Emblem, which as an IP, Fire Emblem is massively growing, kind of like how Monster Hunter was in the 2010s. Fire Emblem is going to continue to grow, whether Smash fans like it or not. Because I think the people who are angry over Fire Emblem being the last announcement, it's because they don't like Fire Emblem being in Smash. They really believe Fire Emblem ruined Smash when it really didn't. But as well. But Fire Emblem is a very fast growing IP. It went from a series that was basically on its death step in America, that they weren't going to make any more Fire Emblem games outside of Japan, but Fire Emblem Awakening sold well enough for Nintendo, which again, 1.5 million copies is well enough for Nintendo, and ever since Fire Emblem Awakening, Fire Emblem has continued to only grow in popularity as well. And Fortune's Reef might actually, which is basically Fire Emblem Three Houses 2, will likely outsell Metroid Prime 4. Which I know some people don't want to stomach this idea of Fire Emblem outselling Metroid, but the last Fire Emblem game, Three Houses, also Fire Emblem, Well, there was another Fire Emblem game movies. I always forget that one exists. Engage also sold pretty well, but Fire Emblem Three Houses sold 5 million copies on the Switch One. You're telling me that Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave can't pass 6 million, 7 million, like Forgotten Land did? Okay? Fire Emblem is a rapidly growing IP that is quickly becoming an A-list Nintendo IP. It is quickly becoming one of Nintendo's most prominent and most important IPs. And the fact that people want to say that no one likes Fire Emblem is ridiculous as well. That Fire Emblem is this IP that we must ignore. Fire Emblem is bigger than what is considered one of Nintendo's big three, which is Metroid. And of course, you have Pokemon, which of course sells regardless as well. Heck, unfortunately, I might be tempted by that Pokemon rug they were offering at Best Buy to get Pokemon Red and ZA. Yes, I'm that weak. Okay, yeah, they're literally offering a Pokemon rug with Pokemon Red and ZA for the Switch too. Not even joking. It's a $40 rug that comes for free with the game as well of the city. Or I think it's either a rug or a mouse pad, but either way, they're offering it for free of the game. Then, of course, we have another IP that they always like to ignore. It's Tomodachi Life Within the Dream, which is going to sell very well. Why? Because the first Tomodachi Life for the 3DS sold 6 million. I know it's only on the Switch 1, but don't be just too surprised if we get a Switch 2 version of Tomodachi Life Within the Dream as well. Yeah, considering the fact that it likely will be played on the Switch 2, I think they won't release like a Switch 2 version like Resident ZA and Metroid Prime 4. It will simply just get a performance boost and a performance jump with the Switch 2. But don't be too surprised if we get a Tomodachi Life Within the Dream Switch 2 version as well, given the fact that the Switch 2 is selling very well. And the rest of the games are like either third-party games or games that, like, that are JRPGs that appeal towards very niche people. But even then, we still have some huge games like Resident Evil, Final Fantasy, Monster Hunter, Dragon Quest as well. Okay, Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection as well. EA Sports FC 25, which is 26, which is FIFA, which is formerly known as FIFA. Little Nightmares is a pretty popular indie game. So there's a lot here, and it's just the idea that the Switch 2 is not convincing anyone to buy the Switch 2. Now, Nintendo is doing a horrible job, but we're told by 4chan. And so, okay, yes, none of these games will be 10 million plus sellers, okay, besides Pokemon, okay, but these are still games that will sell very well. Mario Tennis still sells 3 to 4 million copies per entry. Hyrule Warriors Age of Replacement will still sell 5 million copies. Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave will probably sell 5 million copies. Fire Emblem is an IP that rapidly grew in popularity. Actually, I've never played Three Houses. I probably missed out. But again, I didn't really like Fire Emblem. I think it was Fate or whatever it was called. For some reason, I stupidly got both versions when I didn't like the game that much. Why did I waste my time buying both versions of the game? Okay, as when I could have just bought the version I wanted. Okay, but again, I was a teenager, so I was stupid. But Fire Emblem as an IP is, again, one of Nintendo's more important IPs. It is quickly becoming one of Nintendo's bigger IPs, and I think 4chan and the Smash community need to accept the fact that Fire Emblem is one of Nintendo's more important IPs and better selling IPs. So we can go over this sales history of Fire Emblem as well. Okay, Three Houses sold 4 million copies. Fire Emblem Fates sold 3 million copies. Awakening sold 2.3 million copies. Fire Emblem Engage sold 1.6 million copies, but Nintendo stopped updating sales for that game as well. And basically, besides Engage, which was disappointing to a lot of Fire Emblem fans, was why it didn't sell too well, you can definitely see Fire Emblem Awakening sold 2.3 million copies. Fire Emblem Fates, not the best Fire Emblem game, sold 3 million copies. Three Houses, what I heard from many people, is the best entry in the entire series, 4.1 million copies as well. And yes, I know people are upset they didn't bring back Fire Emblem the Genealogy of the Holy War, okay? But a new Fire Emblem game, I think, will excite a lot of Fire Emblem games, especially given the fact that Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave is basically Fire Emblem Three Houses 2, which is something that a lot of people are excited for. And also there's Fire Emblem Warriors as well, which both entries in the series has sold 1 million copies, according to Koei Tecmo as well, and we could get a third Fire Emblem Warriors based off Fortune's Weave as well, So don't be too surprised to get another Fire Emblem Warriors as well. And those games actually sell way. But again, the Zelda one sold better because Zelda is a bigger IP than Fire Emblem. But again, the Fire Emblem games still sold 1 million copies each as well. Okay, so yeah. Also, Fire Emblem Heroes is a very popular game also on mobile platforms as well. Okay, so there we go about this video. And yeah, Fire Emblem really deserves more respect as an IP. Yes, I know it's mostly because of Smash Bros. Fans that hate Fire Emblem, but Fire Emblem Three Houses outsold Metroid Dread, and outsold Kirby Star Allies, it outsold the Mario Luigi Brother set, for crying out loud, as well. Okay, I think Fire Emblem Three Houses outsold almost every single Metroid game as well, which is kind of insane because Metroid is seen as by gamers as one of Nintendo's most important IPs. But then we have Fire Emblem, an IP that Nintendo fans supposedly hate. I think Fire Emblem Fortune's Reeve, I think 5 million is perfectly achievable for Fire Emblem Fortune's Reeve. Okay, it's perfectly achievable. And Fire Emblem as a series only sold 18 million copies, but Fire Emblem's recent popularity is, mostly to cause for this. Okay, if it wasn't for Fire Emblem's recent popularity with the last 4 games, basically, and also Engage released at the end of the Switch's lifespan as well, and also Nintendo hasn't really updated Engage sales since 2023 as well. So I think Engage probably sold 2 million copies. I think Three Houses, which have not updated sales for that game for a while, probably has sold more than 5 million copies as well. Given the fact that Nintendo does not update the game sales stops updating certain games, and we're still amongst the best-selling games for that platform as well. And Fire Emblem has sold 20 million copies for Nintendo consoles as well. Also, Fire Emblem Heroes also grows $1 billion for Nintendo as well. So Fire Emblem is a rapidly growing franchise, and I think people need to accept the fact that it is one of Nintendo's most successful franchises. It's a series that a lot of people do care about. And also, Fire Emblem Three Houses is the best-selling strategy role-playing game of all time as well. So yeah, that's all this video here. Goodbye.